Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to start our media briefing. Fellow South Africans, I take this opportunity, not lightly, but with high respect of resilience we've shown as native South Africans, citizens, while those who you have entrusted with the responsibility to protect you and put you first have abandoned that responsibility. We'd like to welcome leadership of March and March Civic Movement and welcome Ms. Luna in absentia. The last media briefing that we'd had was on the 4th of February 2026. While there's been a lot of activities since then, we saw it fit to take South Africans into confidence. Importantly, after the last few actions by government that is intended to ridicule the entire country's feeling towards the issue of illegal immigration. We would like to take this opportunity and welcome members of the media to this esteemed State of the Nation address by March and March Civic Movement. We have in the past few months embarked on a number of marches. We have had a march in Durban on the 25th of March 2026, which was directed to the Provincial Commissioner, and we have submitted a memorandum into that march. We had the Ugompo March, which was on the 30th of March 2026, and we've had two successful marches in Pretoria, first on the 28th of April in Pretoria, and on the 29th of April in Johannesburg. Subsequently, there was a march at Durban Point on the 6th of May 2026, which saw a lot of buildings being raided by the South African police and a lot of illegal substances being recovered. We've also had an Umtata march on the 11th of May 2026, which was also followed by the Ntabamkhulu march on the 13th of May, as well as a Durban Point march on the 20th of May. It was also followed by a number of marches like the one in Pinetown that you also saw a lot of buildings being raided and illegal substance being found. I think this proves that there is a serious problems of illegal immigration in our country, as well as a lot of problems of hijacked buildings. And those buildings are being used to store illegal substance in our country. And this cannot continue as it used to continue before. Now that there is March and March, we must utilize our effort and our time to raise awareness and actually call out those who are responsible for all of the illegal substance within our borders. And all of these issues are issues which are systematic, and the root cause of them is illegal immigration. Hence, we've gathered here to take the country into confidence with regards to the activities that we've done in the couple of months, and also ensure that we will not stop and will not be deterred. They have tried to call us as a movement of ethnic mobilization. Now South Africans are showing them that there is no such ethnic mobilization under March and March, because March and March has a footprint in Limpopo. March and March has a footprint in Cape Town. March and March has a footprint all over. If this thing was a thing of Zulus, we wouldn't be in Limpopo today. We wouldn't have had a successful march in Johannesburg and Pretoria. We are doing our best to unite South Africans, irrespective of race, irrespective of cultural beliefs, towards the notion of end to illegal immigrants and towards ensuring that our borders are not porous. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity and hand over to Umama Ngobese Wakazuma so she can read the statement, and then we're going to take questions after that. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Sanele, who's our convener. We appreciate that introduction, but mostly we'd like to appreciate you, members of the media, for being here with us today. The following statement is from March and March with regards to previous activities and activities going forward. So on the 24th of March 2025, what started as a day on Facebook became what we know today as March and March. We took to the streets for the first time. Naysayers mocked us. We were told that we will get fired, and we actually did. And that we will march alone. Today, the nation is engaged in this movement, and an important debate is currently happening more than a year later. On the 8th of May, 1996, the Constitution of the Republic was adopted by the National Assembly, and it was signed into law by President Nelson Mandela in Sharpeville on the 10th of December, 1996. 30 years later, we look back with so much mixed feelings. What has democracy and freedom done for us as South Africans? Are we really free? And if not, what must we do as South Africans? The preamble of the Constitution clearly expresses the wishes of our people. In its preamble, it states that we therefore, through our freely elected representatives adopt the Constitution as the supreme law of the Republic, so as to heal the divisions of the past and establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. Lay the foundations for a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of the people and every citizen is equally protected by law. Improve the quality of life of all citizens and a free potential of each person, and build a nation, united and democratic South Africa, able to take its rightful place as a sovereign state in the family of nations. South Africans have been saying to governments, this freedom has not brought back our land. We still do not own the means of production. The aspirations of the ordinary South African people remain a pipe dream never to be realized. Since March and March was established in 2025, we have seen hundreds of anti-illegal immigration protests. I'm emphasizing anti-illegal immigration protests because we get a lot of media people not being able to state it correctly. A clarion call on government to enforce the existing laws and amend some of the laws, including the Constitution. We have noted that many lazy thinkers who have labeled this progressive and patriotic movement as xenophobic have portrayed March and March, together with other progressive civil society movements and groups, as vigilante groups, and we will soon attend to such sentiments. We have started to take legal action against some media houses who have blatantly misled the public, calling us names, accusing us of being on the payroll of certain people and government. This war against illegal immigration will not stop because some in the media don't like it, or they're married to people who are not South African, or government feels uncomfortable when we fight. We will fight until the last illegal immigrant leaves our country. We demand that the sovereignty of our country be protected. South Africa is currently being invaded. South Africans have become refugees in their own country, while tuckshop mafias do as they please. Our government is very good and condemns South Africans for fighting for their own country. That's as far as it goes. The likes of Minister Ronald Lamola, who finds it fashionable to call March and March a vigilante group, a reckless statement that is baseless and is without merit. He forgets to tell us that to date, Bushiri is still not back in South Africa, and he could not even denounce white genocide when he was given a chance to go and do so at the White House. But today he has Dutch courage to insult South Africans. South Africans are not xenophobic, nor are they violent. They have been patient with the government for far too long, and foreign nationals have abused our mercy and kindness, and it ends now. We know that we are the voice of the voiceless, the unemployed, the drug addicts, the women who are raped and trafficked every day from this country by foreign nationals, and we now say enough is enough. We have noted the energy that politicians, particularly those in government, have for calling for the state to unleash the brutality of the state on us, for demanding what belongs to us. Why do we not see the same energy against the criminal cartels that we already know we have in the country? Not once have we had government calling out Nigerians for selling drugs in South Africa and destroying the future of this country. And just yesterday, we were watching them on another episode of Sizokuthola, telling us that the ground is fertile for crime in this country. Yet we have not heard government calling them out. We have not heard government calling out Somalians and the people of Pakistan and Ethiopians and telling them to dismantle the cartels that they are running in our country, as well as the spaza shop mafias. We are aware that the executive is planning to unleash the army on us in June, yet they have dismally failed to remove the illegal immigrants from our shores. The prioritization of foreign nationals in South Africa is deeply appalling. South Africa is currently on the verge of a collapse. The economy is crumbling, there are no resources left for South Africans, and there's certainly not enough resources for foreign nationals. We therefore cannot allow this to continue while our people continue to suffer. The government has, in the 2026-2027 financial year, budgeted and allocated 292.8 billion rands for social grants. This confirms that many South Africans are dependent on social grants, which highlights the scale of urgency of the problem, because South Africa is a welfare state. Majority of foreign nationals that are in South Africa are not real refugees. These are economic migrants who have and continue to abuse our laws. They have taken over the informal economy, colluded with Home Affairs officials in creating fraudulent documents to bring their countrymen into our country. Our township economy has been hijacked by Somalians and foreign nationals from Pakistan and Ethiopia. In Durban alone, over 340 permits have been given to foreign nationals to operate in the Durban CBD as we sit here currently. The strain in our public facilities is getting out of hand, with the departments such as health, education, and social development struggling to service South Africans properly because they end up having to service a lot more foreign nationals than they should. The underfunding of the BMA is also a grave concern to us, and that requires urgent intervention. It is pointless to fund the Department of Labor so that they can employ 10,000 inspectors when your borders are wide open. This is poor planning from the government, because those 10,000 inspectors should be assisting the only 800 immigration officers that we have in the entire country. We have noted hundreds of thousands of migrants coming to our country as tourists and then end up as refugees and business people, as well as criminals or even employers. The time has come for government now to close the tap and deport all of these immigrants. We do not want to see illegal immigrants working for Checkers 6060 coming to our homes to deliver our food, as this is not a critical or scarce skill. These jobs must be reserved only for South Africans in order for us to win the war against inequality and poverty. There must be a stringent system and laws that prevent drug lords from Nigeria to access our country as they please. This has been going on for far too long, with them even having places that they've taken over and they dominate, making it no-go areas for South Africa. And it is now a time that it comes to an end. The government needs to decide which side they are going to take. Will they stand with South Africans, or are they going to stand with these criminal syndicates? We have noted the irresponsible actions of Home Affairs and the municipality of pulling the wool over the faces of South Africans, when we know that there is no way that immigration officers can screen 457 immigrants in less than 3 hours, when ordinarily it takes a whole day to screen one immigrant. We are not going to surrender. South Africa is our home, and we have nowhere to go. And we will fight for the rights of South Africans here in South Africa. Going back to the township economy contributes approximately 900 billion into the GDP of this country. This contribution is now shrinking due to the hijacking of our economy. The number of drug addicts has skyrocketed over the past few years, and the government has done nothing to turn around the situation. Even those famous NGOs that are now rushing to save the refugees are nowhere to be seen when it's time to help South Africans who are destitute and in need. We want to thank South Africans for chasing their country, for protecting their country. We have seen them rising from each and every corner, taking to the streets and on social media, fighting for their country every single day. And we call upon every single South African who's passionate and loves their country not to stop fighting until the end, because in the end, we will win, and very soon. We call upon professionals, churches, influencers, progressive politicians, traditional leaders, and every single South African to rise and take to the streets to clean our towns, save our children, and not rest until the end, until we win. We have a few demands that we have listed that we would like to put to our government. We call upon the government to stop granting and processing of all refugee applications within 14 days until the state has come up with an interim solution pending the process currently underway in respect of the white paper. Because currently there's no need for them to keep handing out refugee statuses when they know that their house is not in order. We call for the immediate and massive deportation of all illegal immigrants currently living in the country. And if they can force them to pay for their way back home, it'll ensure that they don't keep coming back. We call for the amendment of the law to enable the BMA to operate inland, because for us, it makes no sense to say that the people that are allowing the people to come in and know how long they should be staying in the country are not allowed to come into the country and take them out when their time has expired. We demand for the transfer of all immigration officers to BMA and for this to be legislated. And of course, for the increase in the number of immigration officers in the country, because 800 really is a ridiculous number. We call for the urgent transfer of all border police to BMA, because currently what is happening, SAPS and BMA and SANDF are not working together at the borders to make sure that they are able to stop people from coming into the country due to who is calling the shots at the border at the time. So it's better to just have BMA be the ones that have their own resources and their own personnel working at the borders. We would like for the government to set a budget to build a secure fence and secure our country urgently as a matter of absolute urgency, because we know that currently our country is only operating at 25% capacity at our borders. We are calling on government to declare a state of emergency for illegal immigration that is currently happening in the country under the banner of this being an invasion of the country. We also would like to call for the legislation to pass laws to reserve township economy for South African small businesses only. And we call upon the President to address the nation in respect to the issues raised above before the 30th of June 2026, as our people want to take to the streets on the 30th of June 2026 if this issue is not addressed correctly. Mother Teresa once said, when a poor person dies of hunger, it has not happened because God did not take care of him or her. It happened because neither you nor I wanted to give that person what he or she needed. Our people want justice, and they want it now. Let us all rise to save our country, save our people from hunger and inequality. South Africa will be great again. It just needs all of us to rise and defeat our enemy. And tomorrow we must all rise and play a role to defend our heritage. And God bless South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We're going to allow a first round of questions from our esteemed media guest. And I'd like to request that perhaps we note the questions that are being asked. Sicela imibuzo. We welcome iDurban Network. Mfowethu kambe ongaka News SA. Usekhona Baba Goke. I'm not sure if I can note him, ask the question, then you respond, then you go on like that. Okay. You can come through, my brother.
One, two. Usabelo with iDurban Network. My question is, knowing very well that the private sector won't withdraw from hiring the undocumented migrants, because obviously they maximize their profits from there. I mean, what would the Marsh and Marsh do to address the issue? Let's say, obviously from the point that you guys are standing, you are against what they are doing, but it's not easy that the private sector would withdraw, I mean, hiring the undocumented migrants and stuff. What would you do if they continue doing the same thing? My second question is, if the list of your demands are not met, what are you going to do? What's the next step? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sabelo. I think for us, luckily today we came out of a meeting with some of the biggest companies in the private sector, your Checkers, your Mr. D, McDonald's, and the likes. There's a number of them. And in that meeting, they say that they are not hiring a lot of illegal immigrants, and those that are now trying to take them out of the sector or the sectors that they're in, which is what we got from them. Of course, this was the first engagement and it's not the last one with them, because we did highlight the dangers of what they're doing and the crimes. But what we also noted from that engagement is that the private sector itself is actually losing out. I know that in the meeting they were complaining about the fact that, for example, there were 800,000 tons of tissue that was imported into the country illegally, and it was all placed in tuck shops. And that meant that obviously this is the network of the Somalians, Ethiopians, etc. So they're also feeling the pinch of this entire crisis, and they were calling for better management of the ports and what's coming in, etc. So with the employment, we are going to be following up a lot with them. We've got the companies, we listed them, we sent our questions, and we have asked each and every one of them to give us the numbers of foreigners that they have and on what kind of permits are they on for them to be employed. So we're just waiting for those numbers. I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer. But then when it comes to what will we do if our demands are not met, I think first of all, it would be very disappointing for a government to try to go against its people. I think that would be the first. I'd be shocked that our government continues to want to go against the people. But on top of that, as we had promised, we've seen a lot of people talk about the 30th of June as though they're waiting for some Holocaust to happen. And Umamo Angie is even blatant about the SANDF and the role that they're going to play. But for us, it's not going to go in the direction that they think, because we know how much they've been craving to use us as posters for violence and xenophobia, even when there's no violence they created in their heads. I mean, it was even so bad that even the Minister of Police was claiming that the people of Ghana experienced some violence, and when we sent a message to him, we didn't get a response of who are these people from Ghana. An entire Minister of Police issued a statement saying that. So what we're dealing with here is a government that is itching for violence. I think for them it's an opportunity to test their powers, because if they wanted to deal with crime and deal with violence and deal with all the problems that we have in the country, all that excitement that they have, they could have used it right now. We're dealing with a lot of crimes and criminals and organized crimes, but I've never seen them so excited to unleash the military. So if our demands are not met, we'll see.
Thank you. Can we take a news essay?
I'm Brian Smelana from News SA. Mangobes, how do you respond to the critics that says the movement is being influenced by Action SA to be specific? Is there a way whereby the movement is being influenced by political parties? And again, are you planning to join the Action SA? Because, for example, the likes of Zandile Dagula have joined the Action SA. The likes of Kwani Khumalo have joined the Action SA. Thank you. That'll be all.
Okay, let me start with the second question. Oh, never mind. Let me start with the first one. So you're saying if we're influenced by Action SA or any political party. And I'm going to answer this question holistically, because some people in this room might know how March and March started, how it was just me on social media complaining and people dared me, literally. We dare you to start and do something because you've been talking about this, you know. And that is really how we have March and March today. If it wasn't for those people, I don't think I'd also would have been brave enough to start something like this. But what I've noticed is the minute you stand up for something in this country, people start wanting to dig up on why is she doing that? You know, it's no longer about the movement. Now it's about Jacinta. And why is Jacinta doing this? And suddenly I'm funded, you know, and I'm saying, okay, why wasn't I funded all along when people were saying she's going to march alone, this thing is going to fail? The only time I'm funded is when it's a success. So the people that didn't expect March and March to come this far, the same people who got me fired from work, are the same people now that are casting aspersions about a political party. They have been saying, I'm going to a political party. If I meet up with someone from the MK, suddenly I'm sent by Zuma because it's a Zuma surname and this is Zuma Stokvel and I'm a Zuma Stokvelian, all of that, you know. Tomorrow I'll meet with the IFP. They'll say, oh, it's the IFP thing. They are trying to unleash violence as they did during apartheid, because apartheid, the IFP was used to do the, you know what I mean? So what I've noticed is you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. From the onset, March and March was with those people from Action SA, was with those people from MK, was with those people from PA, was with those people from the IFP from the onset. But it's only now that people know that there's something called March and March, that they want to question things and they're not doing it the correct way. Because they're not asking us, they're telling us. They're telling us you are funded. They're telling us you're working with certain political parties because you're pushing a political career. Which goes to say, I can't be influenced by Action SA. Action SA is a political party. We are a movement. We're not focused on 50 other things happening in the country. We're focused on putting South Africans first. We're focused on fighting illegal immigration in the country and foreign nationals that are committing crimes in our country. That is our core focus. We're not like a political party that has 50,000 things they're trying to solve potholes and what. We don't care about potholes. We don't, even if they're there, but it's not our mandate. And then am I joining Action SA? I think currently I'm sitting with about 7, if not 8 offers from political parties to join these, even some that I've never heard of in my life. Some are encouraging me every day to make March and March a political party. And I just don't know how to explain this, that I can't go into the system if I'm fighting the system. Then it betrays the trust of the people. Then I'm doing exactly what I said I wouldn't do. I said this before, maybe in the next couple of years to come, when it looks like there's a need for me to assist where I can assist, I wouldn't mind, because I know that I've studied this. I know I've learned it. I know international relations. I know how economics, politics work. If I'm needed, I will consider it. But right now, my job is to grow March and March, grow patriotism within the people of South Africa, and make sure that even when the next person or the next person comes, South Africans never forget who they are and never again allow a government to treat us the way that this government has treated us.
No, thank you. I think what she forgot to add is that when this March and March started, we actually wrote letters to political parties.
Yes.
We wrote letters.
Every single one of them, even EFF.
And none of them wanted to associate themselves with us. It's only now that they are writing statements, asking for meetings. But we met when the issue started. We can't meet now. Thank you. I think now we're going to take Babu Goke from ENCA.
Ngiyabonga Sanibonani Siphamandla from ENCA. What do you make of today's meeting with ministers? It would appear that March and March was really unhappy. What is it that made you unhappy? Are you going to be joining a follow-up meeting when they reconvene? Number 2, the issue of immigrants or migrants, Abagumo Road. eThekwini Metro is washing its hands. Home Affairs, police, and the provincial government are washing their hands. The people are still there. How should that matter be resolved? When you say you want a fence, are you calling for a border fence or what? If you can explain that, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So today's meeting was a fruitless exercise because we've got a government that has mastered the art of pretending as if they're doing something, even if they're not doing anything. Today's meeting was merely just government doing a tick box exercise to say that, oh, we met with them, we tried to tell them this is what we're doing so that they can stop the nonsense that they're doing. And we then warned them that should they try anything, we would be ready. That was the whole point of today's meeting. And our government has made it a habit, man, to try and intimidate its own citizens. We've seen this numerous times where they keep telling us about the police and how we've told the police that they must deal with them. We've told the police. And this is exactly what I was saying in the statement, that you've never seen them with this much excitement to deal with illegal immigrants, foreigners, and the corruption. I mean, Nigerians are on television every single Sunday, repeat offenders over and over again on the streets. They've taken over buildings, they've taken over the streets, they've taken over places, but government doesn't do anything. Right now, they're killing each other there, those Somalians, for tuck shops. And this is something that government knows. They're even killing South Africans for tuck shop. When Mazwi was kidnapped, not a single government person came out and said, oh, we're going to find those Somalians that kidnapped. They don't have that energy. They don't have that vigor when it comes to fixing foreign nationals and putting them in their place. So South Africans have assumed a posture of being the ones that are going to be dealing with illegal immigrants and their behavior in this country. Because the immigrants that we have in this country, they are twofold. There are those who are here as professionals and they know what they hear in the country, and you'll hardly ever hear those getting themselves involved in nonsense. But the ones that know that they are criminals, they are illegal, are the ones who are always intimidating us on social media. They are always the ones sending threats. They are always the ones that are the loudest. And I'm going to ask even members of the media, the same way you are following these immigrants on Mo Road every single day, follow up, Pela, on who is burning our houses. Follow up on who's sending us threats. Follow up on the cases that we've opened and our government doesn't do anything about the people who threaten our lives. Because it's very, being a foreigner in South Africa, I think sometimes I wish I was a foreigner. Because foreigners are extended with so much grace. I mean, they stand in front of the TV, they cry for 2 minutes, everyone is already saying, oh, they're so poor. Oh, they are so sad. Oh my goodness, these people deserve. And you know, for the first time, I must say, I must give credit to SABC for their journalist, Umamte Tumbali, who asked the correct questions to an immigrant. I think I've never in my life seen a journalist ask questions to an immigrant. What are you doing in the country? How did you get here? Why are you still here? Are you breaking the laws of the country? No. The questions you guys like asking them, have you eaten? How much food have you had today? Oh, how are your children going to school? Oh my gosh. What did March and March do to you? Oh, that is so sad. Guys, there's laws in this country. This thing of running a country on Ubuntu is exactly what got us here. All those countries in their sad poverty stories there, if you were to go use Pamela to that country, nobody's going to ask you if you've eaten. Nobody cares if you've eaten. Why are we running a country on Ubuntu? How much Ubuntu can you extend to the whole continent and the whole world? We have laws in this country, and those laws must be respected, whether you are sad, whether you're a refugee, because this other one is saying he came here as a refugee because he had a fight with his family. Like, imagine you're a refugee because you had a fight with the family, and you decide to go to a whole other country. We've got serious problems in this country. So today's meeting was just that. It was just the government being government. They don't have what I can tell you, they don't have a plan. One, they don't know how they're going to fix the immigration crisis except to intimidate us to submission to keep quiet. They don't know who's going to help them to solve the problem. And more than anything, they are very terrified of those African countries. If there's one thing I must tell you, they never call them out on the human rights violations they are committing on their own people. But they know how to tell much and much not to violate those people. Their own government violated them first. Why are you not attending to the initial problem, the root cause of the problem? And that's why we are here today. And then on the immigrants on Mo Road, oh, Jesus. I think South Africans also need to wake up. I mean, there's a pattern to this. It's not the first time they're doing this. They've done it in Cape Town, they've done it in Johannesburg, now they're doing it in Durban. And you fall exactly for that trap. You go and you stand there with cameras, then they start crying. I'm sad, I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm this, I'm that. Firstly, how we deal with that is we remove those cameras from those people. There's nothing newsworthy about those people. Absolutely nothing. The crowd is getting lesser and lesser, and anyone who fears for their life won't go and sleep outside Home Affairs if you're scared for your life. Like any scared person, you scared. Will you go and sleep there where you are scared? Because you will go and find a place where you are not going to be exposed. Why would a scared person go and sit where they are going to be even more exposed? Because if March and March was trying to hurt them, do you think we wouldn't have hurt them by now? All those days they're sleeping outside there? If we wanted to hurt them, by now they would have been hurt very easily, very simple. But those same people who say they're running away from March and March, they don't want to open cases. The other one came to a news journalist and said that they were hit by someone of March and March. The journalist said, did you open a case? And then they're asking me about it. I said to the journalist, why do you entertain people who haven't opened a case? Because that's hearsay. You know, I wouldn't go to the media and say, oh gosh, there's a foreigner who stabbed me, unless I say, I have gone to the police station, I've opened the case, this and this happened, etc. So now you're busy giving these people exactly what they want, and that's sympathy. Now they are demanding their own town. Like they want their own town from our government. They ran away from their government. Now they're saying they're not safe. Why are they not running away now? Like, what is stopping them from running away? Because I guess their job is to run away from being scared. Us as South Africans, we don't run when we're scared, we fight. And that's the difference between them and us. And if they were not running away from their government and they were fighting it, trust me, African leaders would be much better leaders today. And that is our concern, is that they sit there on Facebook every day, swearing at us and march and this and that. The energy that they have is the same energy all Africans need to have for their government, so that we don't have these corrupt leaders stealing money from people, stealing resources, getting rich, and their children are on social media, living a life buying LVs and Gucci's while you are living in abstract poverty. That is not a South African problem. And you can't blame South Africans for protecting their country. And the last one of borders, do we want borders to have a border fence? I think South Africa is currently facing a huge security threat, more than a lot of us realize. South Africa has NPOs and NGOs that are foreign funded and have millions of rands. That money goes to buying arms. And I'm saying this, having received this information in confidence, and I'm saying it because I want anyone who says that I'm lying to go and research what I'm saying and tell me that I'm wrong. These foreign funded NGOs, some of them are used to buy arms. So there's a lot of guns that are hidden by these so-called refugees that they have to protect themselves, so they say. But it's not about protection. You must ask yourself, which country in the world discovers military training grounds that you didn't know? The government of Lesotho said that young people in Lesotho are coming here to be trained for the military. This is what the Lesotho government said. South African government doesn't even see a problem, Shem. They think everything is nice. I think Mamu Enji is too focused on much to focus on that. State security, the biggest problem we made was putting that under the president of the country. I don't even understand how that happened. Why would you put something so critical under the hand of the very same president who is more interested in foreign affairs than internal affairs and protecting this country? So we have lots and lots, I'm sure you as news people, you know, there's bombs being found at the border for heists and all these things. And right now we just saw even the Kruger National Park, the couple that passed away, they apparently, the people who committed the crime ran to Mozambique. There's other criminals like the Moyo guy who shot 2 police, ran to Zimbabwe. It's a common thing. So we need a serious border in this country, because those vehicles, I don't know if you saw those vehicles that were there that were paraded by the Home Affairs Department, that they go into the river, blah, blah, blah. Those rivers don't even belong to BMA. They were just a demonstration. They've gone back to the owners because the government says they can't afford it. We don't have enough drones. The drones that they say they have are not enough. The situation at the border is BMA is suffering a lot. They're only operating at 25% capacity. That means 75% of the country is exposed to any threat from any international, even military agencies, agents, and we're sitting on a ticking time bomb. And I'm really hoping South Africans will stand up and defend their country, because I mean, seemingly the president doesn't fund the Navy, doesn't fund the SANDF, doesn't fund the police. Every single state entity that's meant to protect the country and its citizens is defunded, which leaves you with the question, which president in the world would want to leave their country that vulnerable?
Thank you. I think this issue of the borders, South Africa has got 72 borders. Out of the 72, you've got 10 which are airport. Then you've got, I think, 54 which are land, and another 9 which are water or sea borders. Then BMA has got only 800 people for all of these borders. So I'm sure you can see that when you actually go there, it's a problem. Some of them, you find them, they even did that Operation Corona, where they sent soldiers to go guard the borders, but the soldiers know nothing. They are just security guards then chowing the Wi-Fi through TikTok. So it's very serious. Can we have Sletiwe Ndlovu from Newsroom?
Thank you very much for your time, Sletiwe Ndlovu from Newsroom Africa. Firstly, I heard you mention that the government is itching for violence on the 30th of June. Are you able to give us an outline or an elaborate plan at this plan for what is set to take place on the 30th of June? I know there's a lot of suspicion at this point, but are you able to give South Africans at this point an outline in terms of what is actually set to take place? Regarding the SANDF, I know you've touched on it briefly, but to please kindly just elaborate on your comment in terms of the SANDF being deployed on the 30th. And then lastly, I noticed on your media advisory, there was a national imbizo that was mentioned, maybe to also go into details in terms of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Guys, when Sletiwe is talking, would say, me complimenting Umbali might offend some of you. No, it's just I needed to compliment her because I really was taken aback by her interview skills. But I take nothing away from you, members of the media. If we did, you wouldn't be here today. But the 13th of June 2026, maybe I should just give a brief background of how it came about. So there's March and March, and then there's people who are joining March and March. They're members of March and March. Then there are people who are just ordinary people or organizations doing the same work that we're doing. And that is the likes of Upagelu Mthakathi and Ungizo Mchunu. They're not March and March. They are our support. We're a team. We support each other in the same ideology. And we as March and March did not issue the date of the 30th of June. It was issued by Insizwa Nobuntsizwa, which is Upagelu Mthakathi. And when he mentioned that, he did say that they would deal with it in a way that they see as fit. So for us, we have encouraged all other movements that are dealing with illegal immigration to really hop on the bandwagon, in the sense that this is a date, from my understanding, that is issued in order to encourage illegal immigrants themselves to deport themselves without us having to intensify our struggle or fight to the government. Because really it means that as South Africans, we are giving government until the 30th of June to give us a map of how they are going to deal with the issue of illegal immigration. I don't think any of us are stupid to think that all of them will be gone. Of course not. But we are encouraging them to go before the 30th of June. Because what we know is that the kind of illegal immigrants that we have here think they are more South African than South Africans. If you tell them about their home countries, they get very angry. If you remind them that they're not South African, they get very furious. They can even kill you if you remind them, hey, when you're a Nigerian or when you're a Zimbabwean, then they call you self-hate, you are xenophobic, you are Afro, for all of this, right? So there's two types of immigrants that we are dealing with. There's those that we know will self-deport. We know those ones. They're most of the time just innocent people who are just coming here to just make a living, etc., etc. And those will go. They're not going to give much of a problem. But the ones that will stay are the ones that are the biggest problem. Those are the ones that require the intensity of the government, that require the intensity of South Africans. And that's why we're going to intensify our pushback to government, our pressure to the government. And all those who always say, you're always fighting immigrants and immigrants are innocent. There's not a single innocent person who comes into a country illegally. There's nothing innocent about that. So they are just as much to blame as our government for coming into our country legally. And we are really urging government to go to these embassies and start those conversations, start telling those embassies to collect their illegal immigrants and ask them to leave the country. Are you satisfied? Okay, and then the issue of the SANDF, I think it would be a very sad day if the government were to resort to unleashing the soldiers or the military on its own people. I think it would be a very, very sad day. We already know that they've done it in the sense that they say they are combating crime that they have failed to control. And I feel like with that being done, they can use those very same soldiers that they've deployed to fight crime to remove illegal immigrants. But so far, I haven't seen illegal immigrants being removed by the SANDF, which once again proves that our government is fighting its own people. They're not fighting crime. Because if they were fighting crime, there would be SANDF members there at Point Road, where there are women and girls that are trafficked, where there are 13-year-olds that we found breastfeeding a child of a Nigerian there in that room, where there are drugs and the police there at Point Road are part of the criminal network. If the government was really sending out the SANDF members to fight the crime that we have in this country, they would have started with those places. But they're not interested in that because they know exactly why they've been sent out. And maybe we'll hear from Mam Njuguti what exactly is her plan, because you can't kill every single South African, because majority of us are tired of illegal immigrants. If they want to kill all of us, then they must go ahead and kill us, but we'll die fighting for the future of this country, because I cannot imagine any of our children having to confront Nigerians and being bossed around by Somalian children. We already have to put up with so much of that. Currently, we're sitting with so many cases of young girls that have been raped and molested by these Somalians and Ethiopians, and they claim it's because they helped us with apartheid. We've paid our dues now. It's time that everyone goes home. And the National Imbizo, well, we're currently still in talks with some government entities, because obviously we don't have money to pull together something of that magnitude, but we're trying our best to do so. If the government doesn't pull together for that, we are definitely going to try and get sponsorship from people who are ordinary South Africans to fund the National Imbizo, where all of us get a say in the issue of illegal immigrants. Because I think we've seen, even on social media, it's no longer a conversation for people who are not educated, as some like to say. Even the most educated of people are joining the conversation to say, South Africa is currently not facing xenophobia. That is not the real diagnosis of the problem. South Africa is currently facing an issue of limited resources being given to people who are not South Africans, and South Africans fighting for the survival of themselves, because the government has neglected them, and the government is busy with corruption. All they care about is who's going to be the next millionaire through corruption. They don't care about South Africans. They don't fight there in those meetings because they're fighting to better the lives of South Africans. They're fighting for who's going to be the next thief that they're going to elevate, who's going to steal for them and bring their money to their political parties, etc. So that is the problem that we're facing. We're facing politicians who want to use politics as a career instead of using it as an opportunity to change the lives of South Africans and deliver services to South Africans. Most of them are criminals disguised as politicians. Some of them are sitting there in high fences and high walls, busy doing interviews, drunk, calling us names as much and much, whereas they are the ones guilty of crimes. Imagine having to be called by someone who's found guilty by the court of law as a vigilante and an extortionist, whereas they are still running away from going to jail. It must be a very beautiful country that we live in. Even criminals have the audacity to call us names when all we're trying to do is do what the government failed to do. We're not trying to get political party votes here like them. We're doing this because we are South Africans who are fed up.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. In fact, I'm motivated to share a story because we always work for this movement. There was once a time, I've just forgot the police station, but we went to see the station commander to request that we conduct whether a joint operation or we bring forth information in regards to illegal immigrants that were occupying one street and they were occupying a hijacked building. Only to find that while we were sitting with this fellow, the station commander receives a call from a foreigner or an illegal immigrant who's running a spaza shop and saying they're trying to shoot me, they're robbing me. And it was so shocking to see the station commander being worried. Can I just stop? He takes another phone. He's calling now a member of the police force to go and check what's happening in that spaza shop. So basically, there is this sense that we don't want to agree with these people. Foreigners have become more important than South Africans. And for you to believe that, you must look at how government itself is not worried about South Africans, but worried about foreigners. When last have you had government prioritizing South African school children in terms of registration, in terms of uniform? When have you last had government prioritizing South African businesses? As Madam Mangobese Zuma said, in Durban CBD is 341 businesses owned or linked to foreign nationals, whether legal or not legal. And you who know Durban CBD, you actually realize that there is no street that you walk in and not find a foreign national shop, whether legal or illegal. You know, today, Madam Chairperson, when I was in Pretoria, before I walked out, you know, the way this thing is going, we are going to end up implementing one of what they came with the triple BE clause to say in each and every tender it must be black people, abangaga and women and whatnot. The way this thing is going, we're going to come up with a fancy clause to say in each and every street we demand 30% South Africans owning shops. In each and every school we demand at least 60% to be South Africans, then they can take 40%. Because who are you skilling? Who are you training if you are prioritizing illegal foreigners' children over South Africans? You are saying they must take the knowledge. Our country must invest, textbook must invest, AI must invest, all of this knowledge for them to take this knowledge and go and utilize it elsewhere in their own countries. Then our South African children must reside in buildings, they must be involved in Iwunga, Ukbambi Nkunzi, they must become amapara. At whose expense? At whose expense? So this is a problem. And we will march and march up until we win. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I must afford last round of questions before we can close. We're going to take SABC, East Coast Radio. From ACRFM. No, thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Mlondi Khatebe from SABC. My question is, we do see that March and March is gaining support, but the question will be, are we going to see March and March in the upcoming local government elections participating? Why? Because in the local municipalities, that's where the problem is, as the communities in all the municipalities are complaining about the spaza shop owners, they're complaining about the state of their cities, they're complaining about the jobs in those municipalities. Because if we are outside the system, you can't fight outside the system, you have to be inside the system so that you can also change those laws, as you are talking about, that the laws need to be changed to favor the South African citizens. So are we seeing March and March participating in the local government elections? And the other question is, I know that you did touch about the funding, but is March and March funded by who? we understand back then when you were calling for everyone to march, to stop using the Facebook and social media, to go outside and march against the undocumented foreign nationals. Yes, you did say that those things. Is March and March marches yielding results? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mlondi. You asked if we're participating in the local government elections. Yes, we are going to participate. And our participation is to encourage people to go and vote. And our participation is to encourage South Africans to know and understand the weight of their votes and how important it is that all the young people of South Africa go out there and forget about using that holiday as a day to drink or sit with their friends, but a day to bring about change and a revolution in this country, because their votes are that powerful. And if we allow them as young people to not realize the extent of the importance of their votes, we'll end up with results like the last national elections, where more people did not come to vote, and then that affected the outcomes of the results. So that is our participation. And if you're talking about being part of the system, I'm again reiterating that in its current format, we do not have any wish to be part of a system that destroys people instead of building it. We do not wish to be part of a system where young people have no future. Because currently, South African children don't have a future because of the system. And that's why we have political parties that we align with, because those are the ones that we entrust with effecting the change in terms of legislation in Parliament, because we talk to them to request, please, can you table this motion? Please table this motion. Please, in alignment to with what we are doing, can you table this motion? That is our role at the moment. In terms of being funded, I think the question of being funded, even right now when I was peeping through Twitter, a lot of people, who's funding this girl? Who's funding this girl? It's going to take time for South Africans to understand a model where a person doesn't stand to gain anything from them. Like I said, I don't want their votes. I'm not campaigning here. I am a South African, and I've loved this country ever since I was born. And currently what I'm seeing is a bleak future. Sometimes we don't even sleep at night when you think about the fact that this country is unsafe. There are things that we experience as kids playing on the road, that our kids will never get to experience. That speaks of a very sad reality. And I don't think it requires someone to be funded to actually stand up and do something about it. But unfortunately, we live in a country where people have been funded just to stand up and do the right thing. That's why we keep getting this question of being funded. Like March and March, these people buy their own t-shirts. Everyone who's a March and March person, even on the streets, they'll tell you, I buy my own t-shirt. When there's a march, I transport myself. It's a culture that people are not used to, of being the ones that are active citizens. The government loves this thing of active citizenry, but they still have to fund people to be active citizens. That's not active citizenry. That's you using money to get people to do what you want to do. We want people to go. Even in our marches, I remember in Pretoria, there was a lady who came to me, she's like, I came all the way from Cape Town. I booked a flight because I wanted to be here. That is the attitude that we want from South Africans. That is the attitude that's going to affect change in this country. It's not the attitude of funds and funders and funding. We're not like political parties who thrive off having 50 vehicles, throwing t-shirts to people, promising them millions of things. We're not promising you anything as South Africans. You are the one that must bring the change that you want. And the change that we want is illegal immigrants must be gone so that South Africans can be put first in their country. You said something about the results. What is the last question?
No. My last question is that since the start of March and March till now,
have you seen the results?
The results of marching?
Yeah. I think initially it was very difficult. I can't explain to you how difficult this journey has been. It has been absolutely gruesome. Some of our members have been threatened. They have left their homes. Some of them have been hit and kicked. Some of them have their houses burnt. I know in Eastern Cape, we've got one of our members who ran away from home because the Somalians burnt her house. We don't live a normal life anymore. You can't go out when you feel like going out. You can't expose yourself anyhow. The results have been emotionally tolling, I can assure you. Some days you wake up and you feel like giving up. Some days you listen to South Africans and all they do is bring negativity, and you know, some of them, the foreigners are there swearing at you. I don't even care about foreigners. But when it's South Africans and they're the ones deliberately trying to squeeze the life out of you, it does take a toll. It does. And the results have been something I never expected before. Because, I was just a radio person doing radio one day. Next thing, I'm here. And I know it's because God wants me to do this. That much I know for a fact. And I know there's a lot of people praying about this country. And I'm really just hoping that God will answer our prayers soon rather than later. But the results have been that it's been tough. But it's also been fulfilling to see that South Africans have this much power in them. And every day they're realizing their power more and more. We're fighting the media, we're fighting a global agenda where there's NGOs pouring money to make sure that they dump all these refugees in this country so that they can get away with all these gimmicks that they do. And we've got political parties, men, who know they benefit from the crime that comes with illegal immigration, the crimes that come with chaos. So you're fighting 50 different things at the same time when all you wanted to do was just fix this. Then you realize the more you get into it, you see how bad the problem really is. So the results for me are really, I think South Africans standing up for the country has been the most rewarding of them all. But we said until we win, so yeah, we have to fight until we win.
Hi, it's Takane Mhlongo from East Coast Radio. I just have two questions. First of all, this Wednesday, the government of Ghana is expected to take some of its, I think, 800 citizens back home, back to Ghana. And as much you have been saying people should go back to their home countries. What do you think of that, the government doing that? And also the second one, the borders that you have been speaking on, have you visited some of them, or are you planning to visit those borders to just check?
Thank you so much. Let me start with the visiting of the borders. We have made a request to the BMA. They did promise us. We didn't meet with them, so we're just arranging for that to be something that's done with the BMA. But of course, when we met with them, they highlighted so many problems that even we don't know right now if we were to visit a border, which one would be the one. I know we've been to the Mozambique border where they looted money instead of actually fixing the border. They started making themselves millionaires. You know how this corrupt government is. Every time they think of money, they think of themselves. They don't think of the people who will suffer the consequences of their lack of action. So we are working on that. But we've seen visuals, we've seen the work of Home Affairs in terms of the drones, etc., etc. The Ghanaian government, I don't know how to, in English it's a hyperbole, ngesiZulu ihaba. Where I think the Ghanaian government really overreacted. I think it's disappointing, man. I think we've had a lot of respect for Ghana as a country and for the people of Ghana, and we still do. But for them to react in the way that they did is largely dishonest, because for them to claim that there were people who were beaten up when they know there were no people beaten up, and for the Minister of Police to even echo that, is absolutely ridiculous. What we saw in that video was Victoria Africa talking to someone who had broken the laws of the country, come in illegally, come in legally and stay illegally, which is something a lot of foreign nationals do. And instead of them addressing that issue in a correct manner to say, listen, we noted that there's a citizen of ours who was in the country, so broken the laws, these are our concerns, etc., they decided to do a whole PR exercise that would paint South Africa as xenophobic. Very disappointing. And now we've got a lot of these Ghanaians on television actually telling us how they got into the country. Many of them are saying, I'm here in South Africa and I came on a visitor's visa, I'm staying here now, etc. You know, those are the actual events, that there's a lot of law breakers in the country, and we are expecting for the Ghanaian government to address that with their citizens, to say they should not enter into someone else's country under false pretense and then stay longer than expected. Because that is why we end up having the problems that we do. And it's not about xenophobia. They must stop using this word xenophobia, because it's the most abused word I've ever heard in my life. Everything is xenophobia. This other one, who's a millionaire from Nigeria, says that his passport expired and they refused him entry into South Africa because of xenophobia. So even now, our laws now are xenophobia. Everything is xenophobia. That doesn't even make sense. So we are really, really disappointed with the government of Ghana, because really they're one of the countries who are not even that problematic when it comes to immigrants. It's not like we've got millions and millions of them like we do Nigerians and committing crime, and the Somalians, Ethiopians, the Pakistanis, and all of these ones that are just criminals, with the Zimbabweans that are loud and making demands. But one thing I must note, that the government of South Africa needs to really tell us who promised people from Africa South African documents. Because every time they're on TV, they're blaming Home Affairs for not giving them documents in time. Kanti, how does immigration work? Do you not immigrate into a country for a specific reason? You don't demand a country to give you documents because you're a refugee. Even being a refugee is a favor. We don't have to make everyone who comes here a refugee. But because we've got a government that's sleeping on the job, that's why we find ourselves here. Yeah, I think that's it. But just in wrapping up, I also just want to give a big, big thank you to our leaders, man. We've got leaders across the country, a lot of them who are doing an exceptional job of maintaining peace, maintaining non-violent protests, etc. We saw the protest in Bloemfontein today, and yeah, we don't support that looting behavior, because it feeds exactly into the narrative of us being painted as vigilantes. So we really are calling on the people of Bloemfontein to not loot. The goods that are in those shops must be thrown away. They're not even the good quality for people to eat. So we are saying that, please, to all our leaders, please carry on with the great job. But also we would like to issue a notice that not all these marches that are currently happening are marches. Some people are just marching on their own accord because they feel like it's a community, and they have a right to do that. I mean, you can't stop people from marching on the streets because that's their constitutional rights. So the government must stop this thing of always trying to blame March and March for every single march that's on the streets. If people are on the streets and they're protesting and there's no violence, there's nothing wrong that they're doing. The government must just accept it and allow it to happen because they're constitutional rights. The one thing that we also do not agree with is violence. That's why we always keep our protests to be violent free, and we encourage that very much.
Thank you very much. I think we've got only two left, ENCR and Durban Network.
Okay, good evening everyone. My name is Kulan Kumalo from Abakolo CFM. I just want to find out, today it was a day that is known for Africa Day. Do you see it fit or necessary for South Africa to be part of that celebration, especially in a time whereby we have this issue of illegal foreigners? My last question, I know we have touched on it, but not even a small ambition of becoming a eThekwini mayor, the biggest municipality in KZN, so that you can get into a system and fix it yourself, maybe not as a political party, but as an independent candidate. Thanks.
Okay. In terms of Africa Day, denouncing that we are African would be absolutely ridiculous. We are South African, but we're also African. What we stand for does not remove that we are African. It just says that for a good relationship to prosper between South Africa and all other African countries, we all need to be able to hold each other accountable as leaders, first of all. We also need to be able to treat our people in the way that South Africa is expected to treat them. Because you can't be making demands about your people and their treatment here when they come into the country, you start hitting them and beating them and abusing them. Currently, Nigeria has a crisis where babies are being kidnapped. Babies, they went into a home that is an orphanage where children live, and they stole those babies and kidnapped them. And it's absolutely disgusting that African leaders are not calling out Nigeria for the atrocities that they are committing with the same vigor that they have for this apparent xenophobia that they're creating in their heads. If African leaders genuinely want to make Africa great and they want Africa to unite, they can't be neglecting things that are that important. Those poor children deserve a life. They didn't do anything to anyone. All they did was come into this world. But the Nigerian government gets to be excused from all this behavior because African leaders do not have the guts to call each other out. They're busy protecting their individual interests. I mean, Tinubu doesn't even live in Nigeria, for crying out loud. What kind of government is a president is being a president of people and not even living in that country? Yet our president will go and meet him and they'll clap hands and they'll smile and they'll laugh at each other. Why would the president of South Africa not find it problematic that the people of Nigeria are having babies kidnapped, babies, people who are voiceless? And this is exactly why I have a problem with these NGOs and NPOs that are flooded here in this country. They want to have free will to get away with all kinds of nonsense, but they never ever take that energy and go and save those Nigerian babies. We saw them running and going to save other countries there. Why are they not going to Nigeria, investing the money that they're putting into keeping immigrants here to go and save those babies in Nigeria? So right now, I'm calling for all African governments to stand up for those babies that are kidnapped in Nigeria, for those girls and those women who are being abused and kidnapped and killed by those groups and those Muslim groups, associated groups that they said are there. They can't keep quiet at a time like this. They can't be focusing on a so-called xenophobia where nobody's died and they keep claiming that people have died when there's actual people dying in that country. We have a crisis with African leaders who don't have a backbone to stand up for what is right. They must stand up for those children and stop talking about xenophobia here. I'm sorry, it makes me angry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think there's one question
One
left
more about Mayor.
about the eThekwini mayor incoming 22.
You guys really want me to? As I said, that mayor position, I'm sitting with numerous offers. Numerous. Can't even count them. But I've expressed over and over again, I'm not doing this because I want a position. If anything, I'm studying right now and I'm hoping that the degree I get will shape the next move in my life, which is what I'm hoping to achieve. I do believe that as a leader, I know leaders should be jealous of me because I know for a fact that I understand people's concerns better than most leaders. So I understand why they want me to be a leader in eThekwini, etc. But it's not where I am right now. I can help, consult here and there. I don't mind doing that. But currently, that's not where I am. And I feel pity for the people of eThekwini because I know I would have been a great mayor for them. But unfortunately, that's not where I am. Because currently, Shem, we really lack leaders in the country. It's actually sad, but scary, unfortunately.
Yeah, Samuel from Kevin Network. You've been quoted a lot saying we are led by criminals. Also saying most of them are owning certain businesses in Africa, like your mining, for instance, and stuff, you know. Do you really think ukunganyakazi kwabo kulesimo se-illegal immigration, is it because, I mean, they are the beneficiaries? That's my first question. My second question, as we are towards our elections in November, if you were to advise somebody on an antlangano, it is serving the purpose. Thank you.
I think in terms of politicians, I've been very clear about politicians. I think South Africa is falling into the typical African trap of having poor leaders lead, people who are just there to loot, corrupt. Unfortunately, when you hear, I think the most disappointing thing is that you don't want this to happen because it feeds into a certain narrative, especially about Black leaders. And you hate that. You hate that our leaders are feeding into that narrative. But then you look at them and you just see that these people, man, they don't have an idea of what they're doing, mostly because it's not part of their plan. You see, a government that thinks about its people doesn't need to plan for something like this, because they wouldn't have been in a situation like this in the first place. Because which government would allow the economy that was an economy owned by Black people, probably the only economy that Black people owned fully, and you've taken that and you've given it to foreigners, and then you disguise that as African unity, whereas your people sit at home lamenting about poverty and all kinds of things. That speaks of a government that has no clue about leadership. But I also blame South Africans, and it's going to go back to what you were saying about South Africans like voting for characters, right? They like voting for characters. Someone comes and then says the right things or does the right things. But when it comes to leadership, you can tell, man, when you ask them, probe them, they have nothing there. But one thing I'm proud about when it comes to KZN is that KZN has shown that they don't play with their votes. If someone is not serving, you move to the next person. And I would suggest that would make for a better country. It's not about you hating certain leaders, but it's about delivering services. We can't have people making politics a career. That's not what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about service delivery to the people. There's a counselor very passionate. I was so impressed because the counselor went to Umaspala to come and tell the people about the problem of water, because I'm tired of explaining. You see, that person is not trying to remove himself from the people. He's saying, I don't have the means, but let me take you to where you can get answers. That's leadership. You know what I mean? And it starts with local government leadership. Those are the people that are supposed to know your problems ins and outs. Where Council is supposed to know when amanzi phela, where they're supposed to know when the electricity is going out, where they're supposed to know Mamu Mkhize if she has arthritis and needs a wheelchair or whatever. That's what local government leadership is about. So with asking if they are beneficiaries, definitely they are. They're thinking about the next paycheck and not about the people. That's the kind of politicians that we have. That's why right now they're fighting so hard against this issue of illegal immigrants, because they're protecting their minds in other African countries. But the reason why we are here today is because South Africans themselves are not taking themselves seriously with their votes. You need to get away from this thing of voting for people because you like them or because you are loyal to a political party. There must be no loyalty to a political party now. You must be loyal to what can be given to you, what services can be delivered to you. That is what we are promoting. Be loyal to what you, be selfish about your vote. Your vote must work for you. It mustn't work for, you can't say, no, it mustn't work for affection. No, it's about you. Think about yourself, and not just about yourself, but about the future of your children and their future. And then when you asked about which political party Amato should vote for, mine is not to give them that. Mine is just to say they must vote responsibly. Because seriously, South Africans need to take their vote seriously. Seriously, they need to take their vote seriously. We need better quality leaders than what we have right now. Right now, we're cruising alone. That's why you've got a government that fights against the will of the people. There should never be a situation like that ever again in this country. There's no government that must ever fight against the will of the people.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I think on the last note, I'm reminded by there is a trending picture I've seen on TikTok and Twitter of an African country where this lady had donated an ambulance to the district while they were campaigning. Apparently, they never voted for that lady. Then the lady came back and said, "I want my ambulance." And she actually says that she actually quotes a Bible verse to say that you don't deserve this ambulance because you never voted for me. So it's entirely important that people of South Africa actually realize who they want to represent them and who must take care of them. Mustn't be vice versa. I think we've now finished with taking questions. My duty now is to announce our next province we are visiting as March and March. We haven't won, so we'll march up until we win. Our next province in the coming weeks will be Mpumalanga. We'll be marching in Mpumalanga on the 4th of June 2026. We are requesting people of Mpumalanga to come in their numbers and support the march against illegal immigrants, precisely because Mpumalanga has an important province in this country where there is a lot of activities and trucks, and we know that those trucks companies are prioritizing immigrants over South Africans. In fact, I think I'd like to use the media to invite South Africans who have got Code 14 and PPP to come to Mpumalanga on the 4th of June, bringing their CVs, because we are going to leave Mpumalanga having submitted CVs for people. This thing of prioritizing immigrants, whether illegal or not illegal, against South African must come to an end. By using that march to also bring CVs, hard copies, so we know that we are going to go away from Mpumalanga having open opportunities for South Africans. I thank you.
It's not a question, I'm sorry. Let's take
Oh, okay.
What about Mpumalanga?
We'll be in Witbank on the 4th of June 2026.
Manje buza umbuzo ngcono ngisamakazi
njengoba lisadressa namhlanje izoyenza kuyaphambili enikhala ngayo ukuthi ayenzeki nithi uhulumeni akadeclare i-state of emergency.
Yes.
Ingane lisho njalo nokuthi mthaqiniso ezokuphepha emngceleni.
Right.
Esamari nje nokuthi umhlangano obukhona namhlanje yile enikhala ngayo kongqongqoshe ukuthi engathi akambanga.
Alright, so namhlanje besi ne-meeting nongqongqoshe besithemba ukuthi mhlambe kuleyo meeting ebikhona bazosindlalela ukuthi mhlambe yiphi plan abanayo ukuthi baqede lenkinga esibhekane nayo esikhala ngayo njengama South Africans yama illegal immigrants engicabanga ukuthi kwabona banayo inamba. Ngizwile nje bemezo 3 million kodwa ngine sure ukuthi kwabona lo 3 million mase uthi abatsheli ukuthi bawuthathe bawuthole kanjani. I-answer ngeke uzoyithola because we are most definitely certain because there's way more than 3 million illegal immigrants la ezweni. So into esikhala ngayo kakhulu ukuthi uhulumeni njengenjwayelo ufuna ukwenza ngazi ukuthi khona ayenzayo kodwa ayikho into ayenzayo ngoba kwazi phela ukufika usibize unganayo ngisho iplan ukuthi okay ngesikhathi sokuthi siplan ukuthi sibe sesikuthi kunalokho basitshela izinto zakudala esezenziweyo bese bezositshela ukuthi thina bazosikhiphela amasosha mangabe kuba khona udlame kanjani esinganayo inkinga futhi nalokho ngoba uhulumeni phela at the end of the day wenza into ayithandayo kodwa engikwazi ukuthi thina asikaze sithi sithembisa udlame kunomba akaze nje futhi si-operate ngalo udlame sizama ngayo yonke indlela futhi kulabantu abama thousands esihlale sihamba nabo ukuthi ngabe khona udlame. Manje sazi ukuthi le idea le uhulumeni yokuthi lokho ekhuluma ngodlame uyithatha phi yona indaba bona bajahela ngawo ukufika la umphela ndaba la khona udlame la esingekho thina khona kodwa singakusho nje ukuthi uhulumeni wethu awunayo iplan Kodwa thina njengemanje manje sisaqhubeka siyacela abantu bangaphandle abelango ngemthetho ukuthi bayihambele ungaze kufike la ekuthiwa thina sesiqinisa isandla kuhulumeni wethu ngendlela esizobe sidemonstrate ngayo indlela esizobe siyenza ngayo ama-actions ethu on the ground ukuthi even if ngathiwa simasha zonke insuku singakwenza. So sinalokho nje ukuthi uhulumeni wethu siyawucela ukuthi udili nayo lento ngoba sikhathele lezi izitolo ezithathwe abantu bokufika izitolo esakhula thina ukuthi uyikontombela kamakhathini uyothenga isitolo samakhathini manje sekuyisitolo saAbdul uAbdul futhi agcini ngokuba isitolo sakhe lapho uphinda athinta izingane ezincane la ngendlela engayona phinda uAbdul angayikhokhi ngisho nentela ngoba noSARS nawo futhi ulandela thina kodwa mekuthiwa nawo abantu bokufika asazi ukuthi imali yabo iyaphi. So sinohulumeni onemthetho kodwa imithetho kwabona abayi-enforce bakhumbula imithetho nje ngama-South Africans sitshelwa ngisho nabantu abatholwe ngisho inkantolo ukuthi ba-guilty ukuthi thina sama-vigilante vele umangali ukuthi ngoba thina sikaze sime phambi kwenkantolo kuthiwa nali icala esilenzile siba kanjani pho ama-vigilante. So siphinde futhi sigqugquzela abantu baseNingizimu Afrika ukuthi baqhubeke nje balokhu belilwela izwe labo ngoba lempe sikuyona ithina kahle kahle silwa nohulumeni wethu ngoba siyabona ukuthi uhulumeni wethu usujwayele kakhulu ukuthi ungasinaki usujwayele kakhulu ukuthi uqhubeke udlela imali abanye banamabhizinisi vele kwamanye amazwe aba-protectayo so bakhuluma noma yinje abayithandayo ngiyabo abasihloniphi nje asinawo thina uhulumeni othi mawusilalele ubone ngazi sisikhuluma into ezibalekile kunalokho into abazama ukuyenza ukwenza ama-PR exercise ukusenza ngazi ukuthi abantu nje abadunelayo abangazi ukuthi bazothatha ini bahlanganise nani. So siyacela nje kubantu baseMzantsi Afrika ukuthi nje ngobuningi baqhubeke balwe nganoma yiphi indlela abangalwa ngayo siyabadinga futhi kumamashi siyabadinga futhi masihambisa ama-memorandum masenze nje noma yimaphi ama-activities siyabacela ukuthi bangadikibali le ndlela isisazoyihambisa yinde kodwa nje sizoyihamba sizolokhu sithatha kancane kancane kodwa ekugcineni sizogcina sinqobile impilo esinayo ngoba ila esonqoba khona sikwazi ukuba ney'ngane zala eSouth Africa enganaso isikole uqhothe iy'ngane zayo zokufika la lokuthiwa ziyahlupheka nezithi iy'ngane ziyahlupheka la kanti iziphi iy'ngane kufanele zihlupheke ey'bhedlela baqhothile embhedeni kuthiwa abantu base-South Africa balale phansi imithi ayikho ukuthi uyahamba uyofuna indawo yokuhlala emabhilidini bahlala nga-15 ekamereni elilodwa zonke lezi zinto zenzeka uhulumeni ukhona uyabona kodwa ngeke uze umbone ekhipha amasosha njengoba nje bejaha ukukhipha amasosha kuthina. So uhulumeni siyawubona impela ukuthi kahle kahle ibone ngathi bayayithanda lento eyenzakalayo iyabajabulisa kodwa ke thina njengabahlali balezi eMzantsi Afrika sithi sekwanele uhulumeni ohlukumeza abantu babo sekwanele uhulumeni ongabanaki abantu bebekhuluma kwanele ngohulumeni obone ngazi ukuthi ibona ekumele silalele bona bangasilaleli azange sivotele lokho futhi njengoba sizovota siyaqhubeka siyabagqugquzela abantu ukuthi abenze sure ukuthi bayavota. Sithi uhulumeni ke siyacela ukuthi ukume kancane indaba yokukhipha izinto zama-refugee nama-asylum seeker ngoba siyabona ukuthi kwamanje isystem yabo abakwazi ukuyicontrol abake bame kancane beke beqale bedile nalabo bakhona la ngaphakathi bese bayakhipha labo engafanele bebe khona laba basalayo kusale kucaca ukuthi benzani nabezweni bahleliphi benzani imisebenzi abayenzayo ngoba nezigebengu uzoyithola khona lapho bese yakhipha ke nazi izigebengu ngoba nakhona banamaphepha abayenza ubugebengu buphume bonke labo nalaba nje abacabanga ukuthi izwe lethu lokwenza idakamizwe sicela ukudili nabo sicela upresident ukuthi aphume naye azositshela ukuthi yini azoyenza ukulungisa le nkinga esinayo. Siyamuzwa impela uyakhuluma ukhuluma endaweni ehlukahlukene kodwa njalo mesibuza ngale ndaba yabantu bokufika uyaziba yabo asibone ukuthi upresident ongathi upresident wabantu lo upresident uziba abantu uziba kanjani abantu ubona kahle ukuthi batshengisa ukukhathazeka kwabo ngezwe labo abaphila kulona nekusasa lezingane zabo. So siyacela futhi uhulumeni ukuthi wenze njalo bake befocus nje ekulungiseni umthetho ngoba nawo ngazi ukuthi kwabona ubuye ubadida bazi ukuthi ubani ongena kwi-immigration ubani ongena kwi-small businesses kudidene nje izwe lethu lididene ngoba nakhona safaka nama-submissions ukuthi kushintshwe i-constitution ibona futhi abasibuza ngo-2025 bathi fakani iy'celo zokushintsha i-constitution sayifaka iy'celo sekuthulekile ke manje ayikho into esebeyenzayo kanti sasifakelani iy'celo uma bezothula futhi bengasitsheli. ukuthi yini ama results alokho. So ilokho okunye sicelayo kuhulumeni wethu, and sicela nje ukuthi ngampela bake basiphuthumisele kulento yabantu bokufika, ngoba njengabahlali bala eSouth Africa sikhathele, kodwa nemali siyayicela bafake imali lapha ku-BMA, basiza u-BMA ukwazi ukuthi uzoyidapunela bona labantu abafika kwibhoda basho kunye bese bafika bahlala isikhathi eside la. U-BMA kumele ube nayo phela imvumo ukwazi ukwenza lokho, ngoba uHome Affairs ngeke ukwenze lokho ngabantu aba-800 uyahluleka. So siyacela nje namaphoyisa ke angasiphuci phela ilungelo lethu lapha la kwi-Criminal Procedures Act lokuthi sikwazi ukubopha isigebengu masisibone, ngoba we are empowered ngalelo act kwi-constitution ukuthi nathi maseyibona igebengu fanele nathi sikwazi ukuthi sidile nazo. So asisho ukuthi abantu abashawe, asisho ukuthi abantu abaphucwe, sisima ukhona amaphoyisa sihamba nawo abasinika imvumo ukuthi sibakhombele ukuthi nazi igebengu, nangu ubani nangu umuntu onganawo amaphepha, bangakwenzi ngazuthi ungabi namaphepha phela into emnandi eyenza umuntu ukuthi abe innocent, abe victim. No president siyasho state of emergency ngayo le ndaba abantu bokufika, bese esithatha leso sikhathi ayibize lento ngalento kuyona, which is an invasion. Kungena abantu esingabazi ezweni, sidinga ukuthi sibakhiphe. Siyabonga. Hlatete hawu ngeke sengikhathele ukukhuluma. Okay, ukuthi uzokubuza isiZulu nakho. Thini?
Uvezwe ukuthi uma kunokutelekwa umnotho wekhantri nomnotho wesifundazwe ugcina usifadalayo.
Angiqale la ngomhla 30 June siyagcizelela ukuthi sawubona ugovernment wethu ukuthi ngathi bona balangazelela udlame, thina besingazi siphathe indaba yodlame. Manje angazi ukuthi indaba bona basihambele phambili bathi kuzoba khona udlame. Thina sikwazi nje ukuthi sikhiphile ubhuti wethu uNkosi namandla kuphakela umthakathi khathe ekhipha leyo date, ubezama ubagqugquzela phela ukuthi mabahambe bemakhaya ungaze kufike la sizokwazi ukuthi sinyuse ivolume in terms of ukutshengisa ungajabuli kwethu kuhulumeni wethu ngayo indaba yabantu bokufika. Kodwa ke siyabazi phela nabantu bokufika ukuthi abantu abagolozayo vele sesiyazi ukuthi vele laba bazobe besahleli ngomhla 30 yilaba abayinkunzi kakhulu, lezi engafuni ukuhamba lezo eseyikhohlena nokuthi indlela ekhaya ikhomba ngakephi. So ibona ke sobe sesisele nabo lapho futhi sokuthatha kanjalo lokho ukuthi la sesihleli nalabo bagoloza qho ukuhamba. Undunankulu English. Okay, so with what the Premier says that the economy is going to be hurt by the protest, I think for someone who's not working as an ordinary South African, they're not benefiting from the economy anyways. So it's like dangling bread to someone who eats vegetables. It doesn't make any difference to them. So if the government is so worried about the economy, then the ball is in their court. Then they must lay out a plan before the 30th of June that says to us that they are serious about fixing the issue of illegal immigrants, because for as long as we're still getting blue-ticked, whereas citizens are raising genuine concerns, then it means that the government doesn't really care about the economy. And we all know the economy is important for survival. We all know that. We're cognizant of that. But it can't be that we are worried about an economy that benefits the majority, the minority, whereas majority of South Africans are still living in abstract poverty. We're currently talking about 30-something% of the population that will actually benefit from that economy, whereas majority are just laborers, if they're even lucky. Some of them are not even working. So for government to show a sense of urgency and a sense of caring and genuineness, we know that they don't care about the people of South Africa, but since they care about the economy that much, surely that should be enough encouragement for them to stand up and do the right thing and fix the country for South Africans, even if they don't care about South Africans and they care about the economy.
Thank you very much. I think we'd like to do a vote of thanks to all members of the media who took their time and joined us. to actually listen to the real state of the nation address because the other one, banfihlela lezinto. So we'd like to thank ENCA, Newsroom Africa, KZN Tonight Podcast, SABC, East Coast Radio, Durban Network, and ENCR Radio. Without you, we would lose communication with the general public and followers of March and March. So we'd like to appreciate the time that you've took to join us and actually ask questions which are important, because as you are here, you are representing South African and you are asking on behalf of South Africans. So thank you. Sibonga no Babu Zoso. Thank you very much. So we are requesting members of the media before they leave. We've got some water there. We know it was a bit hot in here, and just to cool down the pressure. Thank you very much.